Hello, my name is Pedro Heredia, and today I'm going to explain you which are briefly the requirements and proceeding in order to apply for the non-lucrative visa. If you have already applied and have obtained the residency in Spain through this specific non-lucrative visa, then this is your video. I'm going to explain you which are really the requirements for renewal. But before that, before we enter on the requirement, before we enter on the period of time, before we enter where to apply, let me just explain briefly which are the requirements in order to apply for the non-lucrative visa at the first time. Okay, as you already know, almost a year ago, because you should be in a period of time of renewal, you already applied for the non-lucrative visa, and one of the requirements was to attach the criminal records for the last 5 years. That was extremely important and one of the main and important documents that you need to submit on the application on the non-lucrative visa. Apart from that, and one of the most important ones also, is the financial means. You have to show that you have enough money to live in Spain. At the first time, or for the first application, will be for the first year. Let me show you really which is the time period of when you apply for the non-lucrative visa the first time. You are really applying for a residency for 1 year. So after 1 year will be the deadline of renewal or just no renewal, obviously. But once it's finished the first year, you will have the right to apply for 2 more years. After these 2 years, you will have the right to apply for another 2 years. And if everything goes well and you've been resident in Spain with some limits, then you will be able to apply for a long-term period, which is 5 years. Okay, but let's focus on this renewal. Let's focus on those renewals that whenever you finish this first time of period of 1 year, then you will have a right to apply for these 2 years. And obviously, when you submit the non-lucrative visa, also it was required to attach a medical certification of inheritance health regulations of 2005. Also is one of the most important documents that you need to submit. And finally, the insurance. You have to show that you have insurance covered or the right to have access to public system in order to cover your health situation, with hospitalizations and without co-payment. Okay, you have already applied for that, you have already obtained the visa, you enter in Spain, you have authorization to live and be resident in Spain, so it means that you obtain residence in Spain. And first of all, you need to understand that in order to apply for the renewal here, you have to be living in Spain at least half of the period of time that you've been authorized to live in Spain, more than 183 days. That's important. Without that, if you don't show that you've been living in Spain half of that period of time, it will be rejected. So whenever you're gonna, for those who are listening right now and for those that want to be resident in Spain and the first time is applying for this, it's something important to understand that you have to be resident in order to renew. That's important. It's nothing to do with the renewal, but this is important for 2 things really. Once you obtain residency, it's important, I recommend to you to make a will, because there are some European Union rules that when you become resident will be a Spanish law applied to your inheritance. And for those who obtain residency, I recommend to make a will and say probably that will be your national law, the one who will be applied. We have some videos about this, so please check in our website in order to get more information about this. And second thing, which is another implication on whenever you become resident in Spain, is taxes. Obviously, if you, and this is, let me explain to you how taxes briefly works. Let's think that this is the 1st of January, and this is the 31st of December. Okay. On tax rules, you have to live in Spain in a natural year more than 183 days. So it's important, if you live more than 183 days in a natural year from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, then you you have the obligation to declare and accordingly pay taxes in Spain, obviously applying for the double convention in order to avoid double taxes. But this is important in order to whenever you're going to apply to be resident in Spain, obviously whenever you have already been resident in Spain, it's something to be aware on that. And obviously when you become resident, even though this is not the purpose of this video, there is another modelo, we call it Modelo 720, where it's a tax form, an informative form, where you inform the tax office, you have the obligation to inform the tax office for those assets that are over 50,000 euros value. Okay, we have already some articles, some videos about this, and this is important to check. Whenever you become resident, whenever you are going to become resident, it's important to check what you think about wills and about taxes. Obligation to declare taxes and obligation to inform about your assets abroad, not in Spain. Okay, having said that, let's keep going with the renewal of the non-lucrative visa, where it starts in the period of time that whenever you finalize the period of time that you obtain residency. So let's put a line where it shows that you obtained residency in one point, and after 1 year, I don't know if you can see, but this is 1 year. This is a deadline where finalize the first 1 year. The question is, when do I have to apply for the non-lucrative visa? Well, the rule says it's 60 days before the deadline. So it will be day 1 until the day 60. You have the right, the faculty, in order to submit all the documents, which will be saying all of them, and into the immigration office. Will be the time in order to do it. The voluntary time, the voluntary period in order to do it. 60 days before the deadline. Where do I find the date that I'm resident? Where do I find the time of 1 year? Obviously your TIE should be included. It's not the date that you get the TIE, that is the issued date. You need to show that which is the time that you started being resident, which is really the date that you came to Spain. Okay, that is the date that you start being resident in Spain, and it's given 1 year time from that date. Okay, there is also, and this is something that I don't recommend, but also is included in the immigration rules, is to do it after the deadline 90 days. Obviously, this is a period of time, a delayed period of time, and will be a possibility that will be open a file against you with possibly a fine, or maybe some other consequences are higher. So obviously I do not recommend to do it after the deadline 90 days. I recommend you to do it on the 60 days before the deadline. Okay, that's extremely important. Okay, so which are the requirements that in order to renew, which are the requirements, which are the difference really whenever you submit it and now there is the renewal? Well, first of all, the criminal records, I already said that at the beginning, the criminal records. In this case, the criminal records are not required. Why? Because you already did it 1 year ago in order to show the last 5 years. This year that you are resident in Spain, because you have been resident in Spain. And the administration, the immigration office has the faculty to check if you have any record, criminal record in Spain. So there is no need to bring any other criminal records. Okay. Second point, and this is, I would say, is important, financial means. As you may imagine, now you are applying for a period of time of 2 years. On the first year, you show a minimum amount over, for one person, 27,000 euros, for any family member, 7,000 euros. This is approximately, it's not exactly. So in this period of time, when you apply for 2 years, you have to show double, which means that in the first time is 27,000 euros, and then 7,000 euros for each family member, which means that, for example, if it's a spouse or 1 child or 2 children, will be principal plus any family member included. That will be the minimum. For this period of time, this will be times 2. Okay, this is important to show that. With income, with savings, I mean, at the end, with financial means that shows that you don't need, because this is the purpose of a non-lucrative visa, you don't need to work in Spain. You have enough money, enough savings, enough income to live in Spain without working. Okay? That's extremely important. So no criminal records, financial means, and this time you need to show the requirements is double, really, minimum requirements. Okay? Regarding insurance, it's exactly the same, nothing changed. Is the insurance a private insurance or having the right to have access to the public system? Perfect. Without copayment, with hospitalization, exactly the same. You have children. Important to show a certification that says that they've been inscribed and studying in a school in Spain if they are in an age that is an obligatory to study and be inscribed in Spain. So if your children are not in the school, whenever you apply for the renewal, will be rejected. That's also extremely important. And you remember that I said at the beginning about this international health regulation certification from a doctor. That is no need. There is no need at all in order to get that, because you already live in Spain, you already are resident in Spain. And apart from this, there is some other requirements like photographs, like passport, and this is exactly the same as it was. One important thing is, where do I submit this renewal, these applications? For example, in our law firm, what we do is obviously we represent clients and we do it through the computer, telematic. It's something that is easy and we do it regularly. Also, this can be done in any public registry in Spain and with attention to the immigration office to the place that you are living. Okay, and that's important. It's simple and you can do it by post. You have to have, for example, a digital certification. You could do it also that way. There are different ways to do it. But needs to be focused or sent into the immigration office where the place you are living. Okay, well, this is basically what I wanted to explain to you about the renewal of a non-lucrative visa. I hope that it helps you in order to, well, to submit this renewal, which is important. And we receive a lot of questions about this and some specifications that I have not entry on that, but are important. Obviously, you have any question, if you need any help, please contact us. We will be happy to help you in any question you may have. Thank you.